I still remember the exact moment I made the decision that would change everything. I was standing in Terminal 3 at O'Hare, exhausted from an 18-hour deposition, when I heard a baby crying. Not the normal fussy cry you hear in airports, but the desperate, hungry wail that cuts straight through you. She was sitting on the floor near Gate B-17, her back against the wall. Hispanic, maybe 19 or 20, with dark circles under her eyes that told me she hadn't slept in days. A toddler, maybe 18 months old, was crying in her arms while she rocked him mechanically, her eyes staring at nothing. Everything about her screamed desperation. The oversized coat in July, the backpack that looked like it held everything she owned, the way she flinched when people walked too close. I should have kept walking. I had a partner meeting in London in 12 hours, and I still needed to review the Morrison brief on the flight, but something made me stop. Maybe it was because she looked so young. Maybe it was because of Emily. I bought 2 sandwiches and a coffee from the nearest kiosk and walked over. She looked up at me with this mixture of hope and fear that broke something in my chest. "For you and your son," I said, holding out the bag. Her eyes filled with tears. "Thank you. Thank you so much." Her voice was hoarse, like she'd been crying for days. I sat down next to her, ignoring the looks from other travelers. "I'm Jennifer. What's your name?" "Maya." She tore into the sandwich and gave half to the little boy, who grabbed it with both hands. "How long have you been here?" She hesitated, then whispered, 3 days. "We've been sleeping in the family restroom." My heart sank. "Maya, you can't stay here. Airport security will." "I know." Fresh tears streamed down her face. "But I don't have anywhere else to go." Carlos, my boyfriend, he started hitting me when I got pregnant with Diego. Last week he threw me against the wall in front of our son. I grabbed Diego and ran. I've been trying to save enough for a bus ticket to my aunt's in Milwaukee, but panhandling is hard with a baby, and the shelter is full, and Her voice broke. I made a decision that my lawyer brain screamed was insane. I pulled out my keyring and removed a single key. "This is to my lake cabin in Wisconsin. It's about 2 hours north of here. The address is written on this card." I scribbled on the back of my business card. "I won't be using it for the next 2 weeks. There's food in the freezer, diapers in the bathroom closet from when my sister visits with her baby. It's quiet, safe. Take the Metro to Kenosha. Then you can take a local bus most of the way." Maya stared at the key like it was a grenade. I don't understand. You don't know me." "No. But I know that look in your eyes. My sister had that same look a few months ago. She needed help, and I was too busy to see it." The words came out before I could stop them. "Please, just use it until you can contact your aunt. There's a landline if you need to make calls." "What if I steal everything?" I surprised myself by laughing. "Then I'll have learned a valuable lesson about trusting strangers, but I don't think you will." She took the key with shaking hands. "I promise I'll take care of it. I promise. Take care of yourself and Diego first. That's all I ask." I gave her $200 in cash, all I had in my wallet, and watched her walk away with her son on her hip, both of them eating sandwiches. Then I boarded my flight to London, wondering if I'd just made the biggest mistake of my life or the best decision. The London trip was brutal. Back-to-back meetings, client dinners, a crisis negotiation that had me working until 3 a.m. I barely had time to text my sister Emily to check in. She'd had her baby 4 months ago and had been struggling. The baby cried constantly. Her husband worked long hours, and I'd been too caught up in my career to do more than send a meal delivery service once a week. When I finally landed back in Chicago, I had 47 missed calls and 36 text messages. My hands started shaking as I opened them. They were all from Emily's husband, Marcus. "Jennifer, call me now. Emily's missing. She left the baby with a neighbor and disappeared. The police are looking for her. Where would she go? Jennifer, answer your phone." My stomach dropped. I called him immediately. "Where the hell have you been?" Marcus's voice was ragged with panic and anger. "I was on a plane." "What happened?" "Emily left 3 days ago. Just walked out of the house. Left a note saying she couldn't do it anymore, that she was a terrible mother, that we'd all be better off without her." His voice cracked. The neighbor said Emily seemed confused, kept saying the baby would stop crying if she just left. "We've checked everywhere. Her friends, the lake house, the hospital, everywhere." Wait, you checked the lake house? Of course. That's the first place I looked. She wasn't there. But when had he checked? I'd given Maya the key 2 weeks ago. Marcus, when exactly did you check? 4 days ago, right after she disappeared. 4 days ago, Maya would have already been there. Would she have hidden? Would she have... I need to go up there. Now. Jennifer, I already told you she's not. Please, just trust me. I'll call you when I get there. I didn't even go home. I got in my car and drove straight north, my mind racing. What if Emily had shown up at the cabin? What if something had happened? What if Maya had turned her away? Or worse, what if Emily had done something desperate and Maya found her? The 2-hour drive felt like 6 hours. Every horrible scenario played through my mind. Emily had struggled so much since the baby was born. She'd stopped returning my calls. The few times we talked, she sounded hollow, like she was reading from a script. Postpartum depression, her doctor had said. But Emily refused medication. She said she just needed to try harder, be better. I should have tried harder. I should have been better. It was nearly dark when I pulled up to the cabin. There were lights on inside. I could hear voices, children's voices. I burst through the door without knocking. The scene that greeted me was so surreal I thought I was hallucinating. Maya was at the stove, stirring something in a pot. Diego was in a high chair, banging a spoon on the tray. And sitting at the kitchen table, looking more rested than I'd seen her in months, was my sister Emily, holding her baby daughter. Everyone froze when I crashed in. Jennifer? Emily stood up, shock on her face. What are you doing here? What am I, Emily? What are you doing here? Marcus has the police looking for you. Everyone thinks you're... I couldn't finish the sentence. Maya stepped between us. Protective. She came here 3 days ago. She was in bad shape. I remembered you mentioning you had a cabin, Emily said quietly. I couldn't think of anywhere else to go. I just needed to get away from everything. From the crying, from the pressure, from feeling like I was failing every second of every day. I got here and found Maya and Diego. I almost turned around, but then Sophia started crying, and Maya, she trailed off. I recognized the signs, Maya said softly. My older sister went through the same thing after her second baby. The empty look in the eyes, the way you hold the baby like you're afraid you'll break her, the guilt that eats you alive. Emily's eyes filled with tears. She didn't judge me. She didn't tell me to try harder or be grateful or count my blessings. She just helped. She took Sophia when I needed to sleep. She made me eat. She told me it wasn't my fault. I sank into a chair, overwhelmed. Emily, I'm so sorry. I should have been there for you. You were in London making millions. You were important. The words hit like a slap. You're my sister. Nothing is more important than that. Maya poured me a cup of coffee without asking and set it in front of me. Your sister saved my life, she said. 2 weeks ago, I was sleeping in an airport bathroom with my son, running from a man who put me in the hospital twice. You gave me a safe place to land. Let me do the same for her. Over the next hour, the story came out. Emily had driven up to the cabin in a fog of desperation, planning to just sit by the lake until she figured out what to do. When she found Maya there, she'd broken down completely. Maya, who had been there herself, who understood the bone-deep exhaustion and crushing guilt, had simply opened the door wider and said, "Come in." For 3 days, the two of them had been caring for the babies together. Maya had shared her sister's story of recovery, how it took medication and therapy and time, but how she came through it. Emily had finally slept more than 2 hours at a stretch. They'd cooked meals together, taken turns with the babies, and talked about the things they couldn't say to anyone else. I need to call Marcus, Emily said finally. He must be losing his mind. He is, I confirmed. But Emily, he loves you. He's just scared. I know. I'm scared too. I watched as Emily called her husband, her hands shaking. I heard his sob of relief through the phone, his promises to get her whatever help she needed, his confession that he'd known something was wrong but didn't know how to fix it. When she hung up, Marcus was already on his way. Maya was cleaning up the kitchen, giving us space. Diego and Sophia were both asleep in a makeshift crib Maya had created from cushions and blankets. She's an amazing person, Emily said softly. Did you know she's been taking online GED classes on the library computer? She wants to be a nurse. She wants to help other women who've been where she's been. I looked at Maya, this 19-year-old kid who'd been sleeping in an airport bathroom, and felt something shift in my chest. Maya, can we talk? She looked nervous but nodded. First, thank you for helping my sister when I couldn't. You helped me first. I was just paying it forward. Second, I have some connections in the Chicago hospital system. If you're serious about nursing school, I can make some calls. There are programs for women in your situation: shelter assistance, childcare, educational support. Her eyes went wide. You'd do that? You saved my sister's life. It's the least I can do. But I haven't even graduated high school. Yet. You haven't graduated yet. Marcus arrived 2 hours later. The reunion was tearful, desperate, and beautiful. He held Emily like he was afraid she'd disappear again, and she clung to him just as tightly. They both apologized, both promised to do better, both cried. Before they left, with Sophia strapped safely in her car seat, Emily hugged Maya tight. Thank you for showing me I'm not alone. You're not, Maya said. And you're going to be okay. I promise. After they left, it was just Maya, Diego, and me in the cabin. I should go, Maya said. You need your space back. Actually, I was thinking. I haven't used this cabin in 3 years. I'm always too busy, always working. What if you stayed here while you get your GED? It's paid off. Utilities are minimal. You'd be safe. Diego would have a yard to play in. I can't ask you to. You're not asking. I'm offering. Consider it an investment in a future nurse. I smiled. Plus, I might need to visit my sister more often. Having someone here to keep an eye on the place would be helpful. She started crying again. Why are you being so nice to me? I thought about Emily's empty eyes, about the 47 missed calls I didn't answer because I was too busy with work, about how I'd almost lost my sister because I was too caught up in my own life to see her drowning, because someone I loved needed help and I wasn't there. You were. That's not something I can ever fully repay, but I can try. Maya stayed in the cabin. Over the next 6 months, I visited every other weekend. I watched Diego take his first steps in the backyard. I helped Maya study for her GED. I connected her with a lawyer who helped her get a protective order against Carlos. I introduced her to the director of a nursing program that specialized in helping non-traditional students. Emily got treatment for her postpartum depression. She started therapy, got on medication, and slowly came back to herself. She and Maya became close friends, texting constantly, visiting each other with the babies. They started a support group for new mothers struggling with PPD. I learned to turn off my phone during dinner. I learned that the world doesn't stop if you take a weekend off. I learned that sometimes the most important thing you can do is just show up. Maya graduated with her GED with honors. She got accepted into the nursing program. Diego started preschool. She moved into a small apartment near the hospital where she'd be doing her clinicals, but she still visited the cabin once a month. She called it her lucky place. Emily and Marcus had another baby 2 years later. This time, when she struggled, she wasn't alone. She had a support system. She had Maya checking in on her. She had me actually answering my phone. I never did get back those 2 weeks I missed in London. The Morrison deal fell apart without me there to close it. My partners were furious. But you know what? I didn't care. Because I learned something in that airport, watching a desperate young mother try to feed her crying son. Sometimes the best investment you can make isn't in a portfolio or a partnership. Sometimes it's in a stranger who needs a key. Sometimes it's in being brave enough to admit you need help. Sometimes it's in showing up for the people you love before it's too late. The night before Maya started nursing school, we all had dinner at the cabin. Emily and Marcus with their 2 kids, Maya and Diego, and me. We sat around the same kitchen table where I'd found them all those months ago, and we ate the same soup Maya had been making that night. To Jennifer, Maya said, raising her glass, for giving me a chance. To Maya, Emily countered, for saving my life. To family, I said, the one you're born with and the one you choose. We clinked our glasses together, and I looked around the table at these people who had become my family in the most unexpected way. My sister, healthy and whole. her husband and children, Maya, confident and hopeful with her acceptance letter framed on the wall, Diego, who called me Aunt Jennifer. I thought about that exhausted lawyer at O'Hare Airport, too busy for anything but her next deal. I didn't miss her at all. Sometimes you miss your flight, metaphorically speaking. Sometimes you stop when you should keep walking. Sometimes you give your key to a stranger and trust that maybe, just maybe, the universe knows what it's doing. And sometimes that leap of faith saves more than one life. It saves them all.